After over a decade of driving exclusively internal combustion engines, or gas vehicles, I made the jump to electric in 2024. Now that I've hit the 25,000 mile mark on my Tesla Model Y long range, I like to share the true cost of EV ownership during the first 2 years of ownership. The reason that I made a switch to electric was because the purchasing environment in 2024 was highly favorable to EV buyers. This isn't the case today, but these factors may come back in the future, since I'm a firm proponent that the mass electrification of vehicles can only be postponed but not permanently delayed. So what factors did I take advantage of in 2024? The first was the federal EV tax credit. 2024 was the final year that I expected to qualify for the $7,500 federal rebate, which pulled the effective purchase price under $40,000. Second, Tesla was offering a 0.99% APR promotion on the Model Y at that time. This was in part because they were preparing to clear out old inventory for that model before the newer Juniper Model Y was released later in the year. 0.99% in any interest rate environment is a steal, but to put that in context, back in 2024, the average new car loan in 2024 was much higher at 7%. Even if you managed to find a steal on a new gas vehicle at a lower, say 4% car loan, a 4% loan would have cost me nearly $4,000 more in interest over a 5-year loan than the 0.99% rate that I secured. And then lastly, at the time of purchase, my apartment was offering completely free level 2 charging, which meant that my charging was effectively free other than when I needed to supercharge my Model Y on long road trips. When considering an EV purchase, one often overlooked detail is the impact of your local climate on battery efficiency. Regardless of the EV make and model, battery range and efficiency, unlike a gas vehicle, is noticeably poorer in cold or hot temperatures. I live in Northern Virginia, which is a humid and subtropical climate. We see harsh winters and very hot summers, both of which impact battery efficiency and can result in my maximum range taking a 25% hit when the temperatures hit these extremes. One silver lining though is that I do park in an underground garage. This is a phantom benefit for EV owners because the battery stays at a more temperature baseline rather than freezing or baking outside while the car is parked. The biggest question people ask when considering their first EV purchase is it actually cheaper than gas? The short answer is yes, but the long answer depends entirely on how you charge. So let me give a little bit of a primer on how charging works. The cost of charging depends on the speed of the charge, where faster charging is more expensive per a unit of energy called a kilowatt hour. Level 1 charging refers to charging via a standard wall outlet, which only adds a couple of miles per hour of charge and is therefore not frequently used. Level 2 is way more common, and it adds about 20 to 25 miles of range per hour and is typically used for overnight charging, and it's what I use for both in the office and at the apartment. Level 3 is supercharging, which in the US allows you to charge from 20% battery to 80%, usually in 30 minutes or less. Level 1 and 2 charging is universally cheaper than gas. Supercharging, or level 3, can sometimes be cheaper than gas, but depending on the state, sometimes it's a wash. But you're also paying for the convenience of a fast charge, which is convenient and critical when going on a road trip. In Virginia, where I live, the average residential rate for level 2 charging is about 18 cents per kilowatt hour. For the first year and a half of ownership, my cost was $0, thanks to my apartment offering free charging until the end of 2025. That policy ended though, so now I pay the 18-cent per kilowatt hour rate at home, but I also have access to subsidized charging at my office for only 11 cents per kilowatt hour, and that's not super uncommon to have subsidization at your employer. To give you a real-world comparison of how these figures translate to gas savings, last week I spent $4.64 at the office to add 244 miles of range. In 2026, $4.64 probably buys you around 1 gallon of gas, depending on where you live. Even in a very efficient gas-based SUV, that 1 gallon would get you maybe 40 miles instead of the 244 miles range that I got. So in other words, I got basically 6 times the distance for the same price had I owned a gas car. So when it's all said and done, how much did I save in gas costs during my first 2 years of EV ownership? To calculate my total avoided gas costs, I looked at the average efficiency of 2 comparable gas vehicles to my Tesla Model Y. The first is the BMW X3, which has a combined local/highway fuel efficiency of 28 miles per gallon. I could also compare my Model Y to the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, which has a combined efficiency at 43 miles per gallon. So if you average out the fuel efficiency for these 2 comparable vehicles, that gets you about 36 miles per gallon. And if you take the fluctuating gas prices that we've seen during my time of EV ownership, I basically would have spent $2,500-ish on gasoline over those 25,000 miles. One of the most common EV myths is that they are maintenance-free. While it's true that EVs are mechanically simpler, no oil changes, no spark plugs, and significantly less brake wear thanks to regenerative braking, the costs don't disappear, they just simply shift. The primary wear cost for EVs is the tires. Because of the instant torque and the heavy battery pack, EVs eat through tires faster than gas cars. You might find yourself replacing a set of 4 tires every 25 to 30,000 miles for an EV, whereas for a gas SUV, you'll probably replace tires every 50,000 miles or so. When you consider that EV-rated tires are often more expensive than a standard set, 1 tire change can easily wipe out 2 years' worth of oil change savings. Then there is insurance. Generally, EVs are more expensive to insure because they are costlier to repair after an accident. So in terms of these costs, EVs went out on the oil change and filters, which over my 2 years of ownership saved me $240 and $100 respectively. The tire rotation ends up being a wash because even though EV tires wear out more quickly, you will generally rotate your tires around the same 5,000 miles per rule of thumb that you would for a gas vehicle. The roof glass is an interesting cost I had to incur, which is more specific to the Model Y, but essentially that glass cracked one time when my bike that was on a bike rack accidentally fell. That ended up being about a $500 deductible, which you probably wouldn't have to incur if you had a gas vehicle, since most gas vehicles don't have that same glass roof. And then, as I mentioned previously, insurance for an EV is more expensive, so over the course of the 2 years, I've paid about $800 more in insurance premiums than I would have had I owned a gas vehicle. One other piece of savings I didn't fully anticipate is savings on hotel costs if you're willing to camp in your Tesla during travel. Because there's no engine running, you can keep the climate control at 70 degrees all night while only using about 10 to 12% of the battery. And if you're 6 feet tall or less, you can easily put a fitted mattress in the back seat and stealth camp or camp at campsites and avoid the hotel costs associated with travel. It's a niche benefit, but it's a real one too. So is the total cost of ownership actually lower? In conclusion, it can be, but it's not a universal truth as some headlines claim. The primary savings come from charging, but those savings can be netted out if you rely solely on supercharging. Furthermore, the higher insurance premiums and tire costs materially eat into your monthly savings. So if your primary motivation for buying an EV is to purely save money, the math only goes in your favor if you take advantage of 3 main things. 1, hopefully a federal tax credit will come back into play at some point in the future. 2nd, a lot of EV companies rely on promotional financing to sell their vehicles, like my 0.99% loan on a 5-year loan. And then 3rd, see if you can get access to cheap or free level 2 charging at home or work. Without those 3 reasons, an efficient hybrid like a RAV4 could be the more economical choice. But for me personally, the Model Y was and is the right move. It's just important to look at the actual cost of ownership and not just go by public opinion and perceptions. If you enjoyed this video, then please like this video and subscribe to my channel, Lost in a Good Place. Thanks for watching.